Welcome to a deep dive, you could say, into the heart of the Drake Caterpillar. We are going to really get into what makes this ship tick, its strengths, its quirks, how it stacks up against some of its rivals, especially the Crusader C2. So think of this as your guide to, does the Caterpillar deserve a spot in your hangar?
Well, Drake has a real knack for creating ships that feel lived in, and the Caterpillar is no exception. That rugged industrial charm.
So let's unpack this a little bit. The Caterpillar, it's this big modular cargo ship, known for being really tough and adaptable. What's its story in the Veriverse right now?
Well, it's really found a home with a lot of civilian pilots out there.
Okay.
You see it being used for legitimate trading, of course.
Right.
But it's also gained a little bit of a reputation in, let's say, less than legal, sir. Potential for customization is a huge part of its appeal.
Right.
But even in its current form, with just the cargo modules, it offers a distinct approach compared to something like the Crusader C2 Hercules.
Okay.
Its main competitor, I guess you could say.
So Caterpillar versus C2. If we're talking straight up hauling in the metaverse right now, who comes out on top?
Well, in the current game state, the C2 has some clear advantages. Better flight characteristics. For one, it's faster, more maneuverable, makes it efficient for quick cargo runs, and it boasts a single massive cargo hold that can just swallow a lot more cargo than the Caterpillar's multiple smaller bays.
So that almost sounds like a point for the C2.
It can be, yeah.
Is there a downside to this single cargo hold?
It depends on your playstyle, right? The C2's single hold is great for bulk, but the Caterpillar's compartmentalized design allows for a little more organization and specialization. Think of it this way. If you're making multiple stops or carrying goods that need to be separated, maybe you've got some volatile chemicals you don't want mixing with your agricium, the Caterpillar lets you do that. The C2, not so much.
Yeah, that's a good point. So the Caterpillar has potential, but it sounds like C2 is kind of winning in this head-to-head.
Yeah, especially with the upcoming cargo refactor that everyone's talking about.
Right.
Manual loading and unloading cargo is going to change things up significantly.
Yeah.
And that's where some of the Caterpillar's, well, design quirks, shall we say,
Okay.
become a little more apparent. Remember those multiple cargo bays we talked about?
Right.
Each one has its own doors on the sides of the ship. Sounds great in theory, right? Except when you are trying to manually wrangle cargo into those bays.
Right.
And the Caterpillar's tractor beams are stuck out on the wings.
Yeah, I've heard some colorful language from some of the pilots who've been trying to make that work.
It's not the most intuitive design.
So you can't directly load the cargo into those side bays with the tractor beams.
You are left dropping cargo onto the module doors and hoping that someone inside can wrangle it in onto the grid.
So whereas the C2, even though it doesn't have dedicated tractor beams right now, with the cargo elevators coming online, you just back that thing up and you are good to go. So what does this mean for the Caterpillar then? Is this going to leave it in the dust with this cargo refactor?
It is definitely a point of concern. Those smaller cargo grids in the Caterpillar's modules, they are not exactly designed for efficiency when you are dealing with larger containers. It's going to be a lot of fiddling with smaller boxes to try and maximize that space.
Okay.
The C2, with its cavernous hold, is going to handle that much more smoothly.
Okay, so it sounds like there are some downsides.
Yeah.
Are there any saving graces here for the Caterpillar?
Well,
People who swear by it, what about them?
I mean, the Caterpillar's saving grace is its modularity. Even if it's not fully implemented yet. It's important to remember that this ship is designed for change. Maybe Drake will redesign the cargo modules to handle larger containers more efficiently. Maybe go from 4 modules down to 3, open up some space.
So trading some modularity for efficiency?
Yeah.
That's a tough call.
It is a tough call.
Less versatility, but a more competitive cargo hauler.
It highlights a fascinating tension with a ship like this.
Right.
It's built for a future that's not quite here yet, and we're left to see how these design decisions will play out.
It's almost like a sneak peek into the future of StarCitizen. Right now, cargo is all about stuffing as much as you can into a box and making it work. But this kind of hints at a future where it's more intricate, more strategic thinking about it, maybe more specialized roles even.
Think about it. You've got a Caterpillar that's designed for bulk or hauling, another one rigged as a mobile refinery, maybe even a heavily armed escort Caterpillar.
Okay, now that's a space trucking empire I can get behind.
Right.
But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, we have focused a lot on the C2. What about the whole series?
The Hull series are workhorses, there's no doubt.
Right.
I mean, the Hull A can move a mountain of cargo, even more than the C2.
Right.
And the Hull C, once it's firing on all cylinders, is going to be a force to be reckoned with for pure bulk transport.
But they are one-trick ponies.
Yeah.
Pure cargo, no modularity, no detachable command modules.
That's a fair assessment.
Yeah.
They're reliable, predictable, and incredibly efficient for what they're designed to do. The Caterpillar embodies something different, though.
It's the ship for someone who wants more than just a ship. It's for the pilot who looks at those empty module slots and sees endless possibilities.
You can just see their eyes light up, thinking about all the things they could do with it.
It represents a different philosophy, both
Yeah.
in design and in gameplay. And speaking of gameplay, the Caterpillar has found another niche for itself.
It has, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Despite Drake's best efforts to market it as a reliable workhorse, the Caterpillar has become rather popular with a different sort of entrepreneur.
You're talking about pirates. Makes sense. It's got the cargo space for all that loot. The side doors are perfect for offloading illicit goods, and it can pack enough firepower to deter anyone who gets too nosy.
And think about the possibilities once modularity comes into play. Imagine a Caterpillar with dedicated modules for holding prisoners,
Oh,
storing weapons, maybe even a sophisticated hacking suite for bypassing security systems.
oh wow. So a true pirate mothership.
A mobile base of operations for raiding and plundering across the verse.
That's amazing. It's a far cry from hauling medical supplies and astatine.
It is, but it speaks to the adaptability inherent in the Caterpillar's design.
StarCitizen doesn't lock you into a specific career path.
That's right, you can be a squeaky clean trader one day and a swashbuckling pirate the next.
Exactly. Maybe even dabble in some bounty hunting or mining if the mood strikes you.
The Caterpillar, with its flexibility and potential, empowers you to embrace that freedom. It's not just a ship, it's a platform for you to craft your own story in the verse.
That's a great way to put it. But let's bring it back to the here and now. The Caterpillar, with all its promise and potential, is still a work in progress.
It is. It's waiting for those key features that we've discussed to be fully realized.
Right.
The modularity, the detachable command module,
Right.
the cargo refactor, and those elevators. Those are the pieces that will unlock its true potential.
We can see the sprout. We know what it's capable of becoming.
Right.
But it needs time, nourishment, and the right conditions to reach its full potential. The Caterpillar becoming this symbol of player choice and customization. But let's not forget, it's entering a crowded field.
Yeah.
We've talked about the C2 and the Hull series, but are there any other ships on the horizon that could give a fully realized Caterpillar a run for its money?
The cargo game in StarCitizen is always evolving, so it's a good bet new contenders will emerge. But if we're looking at what's out there now, the RSI Constellation Taurus comes to mind. It's popular with pilots who want a balance of cargo space and teeth.
So not as much hauling capacity as the Caterpillar, but it can defend itself if things get dicey.
Precisely. The Taurus is more of a heavily armed freighter. Think of it as a deterrent for those opportunistic pirates, especially if you're moving high-value goods. It's not going to win any awards for cargo capacity, but it can hold its own.
All right, so the Taurus is for the pilot who prioritizes security.
Yeah. If you're looking for a ship that's ready to fly right off the assembly line, there are safer options out there. But if you're the type of pilot who wants to build something unique, something with character and a story to tell, then the Caterpillar might just be the ship for you.
That's awesome. Great deep dive. Really appreciate the
It
information.
was my pleasure.
Until next time, fly safe out there.